Hi, I'm Julie Hiert, and welcome to this week's Making Light, Two Humans Being episode. With me, as always, is Kate Foggo, and this week we're going to be talking about gossip and truth, and probably a little RuPaul. So take a listen and enjoy it. Please subscribe if you like it, give us feedback, all the comments, all the things, but take a listen and enjoy.
So gossip. So gossip is something that certainly I meant to get the book out, but Emmanuel, not Mendes, what's his name? He's one of the Four Agreements. Have you read that?
Oh, Don Louis Miguel, something like that.
One.
Mm-hmm.
That's one. And he talks about no gossip. And I think by that they mean that you shouldn't really talk about things that are for entertainment only, as it were, as opposed, and I think we sort of touched on this, didn't we? We sort of touched on this in the conversation that I didn't keep or didn't include because it was about making jokes about minorities, shall we say, or jokes in general about minorities. But gossip is in that same category. So I'm going to write a piece on it, but I just wanted to share with you. So I watched RuPaul's Drag Race, and I love RuPaul. She's not soppy in any way, shape, or form, but there's quite a strong spiritual. I don't even know if it's meant to be spiritual, but it's all about being who you are and being authentic and I can't remember how. Every now and then I'll either hear a terminology or they'll make a reference that I don't understand, so I'll look it up. And I really try not to get sucked into like showbiz gossiping that, but I'm genuinely interested in RuPaul and that. And I clicked on something that Pearl from, I think she was season 7, was one of the queens, very young boy, quite good looking as a boy as well, which is unusual. Not unusual, but like I don't think you'd necessarily have known that he wasn't effeminate in the way that so it was a bit of a stir for us girls. And quite very young, and he had a standoff with RuPaul in the workroom, which was extremely uncomfortable to watch. And it turned out that Pearl had told the years later, because obviously I've been watching this all retrospectively, Pearl had said that Ru had said something to them during the filming that had really, really, really upset him. And I just wish I hadn't read that, because I can't find anything that defends it or just. I've read something that just sort of tries to justify it. And part of me doesn't want to look, but then part of me was like, oh well, I'm sure there'll be an explanation for this. And it's just an example. It came as a real smack in the head example of why it's so important not to listen to gossip, because it's taken a shine off RuPaul for me, just a little bit, and I'm sure I'll get over it. Basically, RuPaul had said, apparently Pearl had turned around to RuPaul at some point and said, I am just over the moon to be here. I'm so, you're my hero. I'm so delighted that you're here, blah, 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 and gushed. And RuPaul, Sally, oh God. And RuPaul had turned around and said, it doesn't matter what you say to me if the cameras aren't rolling.
Doesn't matter what you say to me if the cameras aren't rolling.
Now, a defense that Michelle Visage, his partner in crime, had said later on, I really couldn't find anything on it. I don't know if RuPaul just does not comment on things like that, which might be a strategy, and that's fair enough. But what Michelle Visage had said is that, like in a lot of these reality shows, they're actually not allowed to talk to each other even unless the cameras are rolling, because they want to capture. They don't want all the moments, good TV moments, essentially happening privately. So what a lot of people don't realize, that in all reality shows like this, that people actually aren't allowed to speak to each other at all,
right,
outside of it being on camera. And she says that's what RuPaul was referring to. But then the point is, it actually doesn't matter. We go through all this truth about who people are and what they're. What does it matter to me whether it's true or not? Why do I need to know? Why is RuPaul any less inspiring to me because I've read some comment that may or may not be true. Do you know?
Right.
It's like we're so obsessed with the truth.
Right.
And all it's done is actually hurt me a little bit.
Right. It's interesting because you have okay, so you weren't there, you didn't hear any of this, so it's all third party. So there's that.
And it's celebrity gossip.
Right. It's all third party. Who knows? Who knows what really happened? We really weren't there. What was Peel? What's the gentleman's name that was
Pearl.
Oh, Pearl. So Pearl may heard something, interpreted it, put it out there. Still third party. Who knows? You weren't there. You weren't the one being spoken to. You weren't the one speaking. The other thing, though, that really interests me is that RuPaul is a human being. When he's creating, then I mean right, when we create, that's co-creating with us when we're really aligned with the divine and all of that. So when he's creating, so to me, I because I was reading your blog or your newsletter last week, and you mentioned RuPaul again, and something about the spirituality that you find in it, and I'm like, well, yeah, it really resonated with me because I'm like, when he is RuPaul or she is creating, she is just the being, right? She's the divine at that moment. So of course it resonates from a spiritual perspective because she is divine in that moment and fulfilling what she's here to do. And so she may have had a human moment. It may have been completely blown out of context. It may have been whatever, but I guess for us, and I have an analogy or a parallel thing, which is Ellen DeGeneres. And I don't know if you know who she is here in the US. Okay. So, I mean,
I probably knew her better as a comedian before she became a sort of lesbian activist.
Yeah. Well, and okay, so we'll stay on RuPaul, but I'll come back to Ellen. So so RuPaul may or may not have said something, but for that comment to take her out of the light that she brings to you, that's probably ego, that's probably human, you can see more of that. But this pedestal, because I do this is what it affects me. Like, I put people on a pedestal and I have to constantly remind myself they too are humans, divines having a human experience. And we're all doing the same thing.
I don't like that.
What?
Just you even saying that, it's like I don't want to allow people humanness.
Oh yeah, it's hard.
Tell me about Ellen, and then I'll tell you about another teacher that I heard about.
Well, I'll say this. I'll add this little spice in there. So my hero of heroes is Bono. Big YouTube fan. I heart Bono. I just everything. If there were anything that I ever heard that it's anything off, it would totally destroy me. So I totally can relate to the RuPaul thing.
You haven't?
No, and don't.
I don't know any. I was going to go away and dig some out though.
No, I haven't, because I have watched him put his money where his mouth is, work with other people to move the world forward. I've always loved his music. That's what first attracted, their music, I should say. I'm just a huge fan. I've seen as many concerts as I possibly can. I will see them again. Anyway, I had a dog named Bono. That's what brought me to animal communications, my dog named Bono. Anywho. But Ellen DeGeneres. So she has comedian, gay rights activist. I really like her. She had a talk show that to some degree took the place of Oprah when Oprah retired. She just had a different bent on it, but she would.
Oprah retired?
Well, from her talk show.
Right.
Well, kind of. She has it doesn't matter. Anyway, when Oprah, after 25 years, put the Oprah show away. Ellen kind of to some degree picked up the mantle, particularly the part about caring for other people and showcasing other people's situations and then helping them. Anyway, and then all this stuff came out about how the work environment within the Ellen DeGeneres show was toxic, and it was all related to her. And it took someone who in my mind was actually trying to help other people, and it completely smeared them. And now her show's she's either retiring or she's canceled or something. Her show's not coming back after this current season. And I don't know how much she knew. to me, it took it all. How do I want to say this? Like all the gossip and everything, and maybe it put some good light on some things, but to take her out of it and cancel her is just the opposite, I think, of what needs to be done. If you have to shine the light on stuff, then shine the light on stuff, but allow someone to also redeem themselves if that's the case. Do you know what I'm saying? Like that's, yeah. Is Sally killing another bowl?
No, she's just watching out the window.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I don't know. That's so when you were saying that about RuPaul, like Ellen is an extreme case. So I just, yeah, but that to me, it's all gossip. I was never in the room. I don't know. And yes, sure, reputable people said that thing, but at the
and I've tried to find out, I sort of want to let it go, but there's a bit of me that goes, well, maybe RuPaul will answer to this. But I can't find anything. All I found was another queen had said, I'm not saying she's lying. No, she said she sounded like it was sort of presented in a way that this other queen was saying she'd had a similar experience, but actually had no substance to it. Like she didn't share what had happened, and she didn't, it wasn't really conclusive. So I don't know. But the point is, it's like, why? I'm very hard on people, I suppose, because my friend at my mentor Annie is a pupil of William Whitecloud. Have you heard of him?
I have, but very, very faintly, yeah.
And she thinks the world of him, and I think the world of Annie. So by association, you'd think I should think the world of William Whitecloud. My sister was lucky enough to be asked to do a sort of masterclass that Annie was running, which was because it was a sort of trial run through. So I think they got, as long as they committed to it, they got free. And it was like, like a really big deal to do this masterclass with William Whitecloud. And in the introduction or something like that, he was just really rude and really sexist almost. And Stella was like, ugh. And Annie had sort of said, Stella, well, he's only human. And Stella stuck with it. He just it was just probably an off comment or something like that. But I think I spoke to Annie about it, and she said, you have to remember that they're humans too, and they fail. And I'm like, well, no, I don't accept that. If you put yourself up there as an expert, there are some things you may fail at, but not stuff like that. It's like I have some arbitrary line which is okay to cross, but not and I do feel like that. It's like the whole point of me listening to the stuff you talk about is I want to be like you. So if you can get knocked off balance like that, then you're not a teacher for me.
And when you say that, it makes me feel like then I should never talk, because I will never be to that standard.
You're not holding yourself up as a fucking world expert at something.
Well, yeah, see there, then it feels like it becomes ego, right? Because it was interesting. I was listening to Eckhart Tolle the other day and Oprah, and Oprah said, so do you ever get angry? Do you ever just like get pissed at somebody? And he's like, oh yeah, all the time. Yeah. And he's like, and then I realize, then I become aware of what is happening, and that I've had a moment that is human or whatever, and egoistic, bound, and okay, what's really going through that? And so he's able, and Matt Kahn will say the same thing, that there are people who put themselves up as experts and say this, and then it has to be a certain way, and they have to have, only the orange M&Ms are allowed to appear in their dressing room or whatever. He's like, there's like that, but those are, to me, that's where the ego has really kind of taken over. And that.
So are you saying that I should be more forgiving, or are you saying these people shouldn't be masquerading as experts?
I'm saying we should be more forgiving, and those who are masquerading, it's not our problem. That it's, if they're going to
you see, there's a lot of things I can forgive.
Yeah.
But there are some things when you sometimes see that rawness of people, and you're like, whoa, do you know what I mean? And you just see something. I don't necessarily forgive people that, because it's like, I've just seen a bit of you that I wish I hadn't seen.
Oh. Those to me are the
yeah.
Say again. When I see when I have learned, I'll say this, it's new, it's a newer practice, but when I see, I mean, I have a lot of people around me in this neighborhood that are angry, for a variety of reasons, predominantly probably because they got left behind. I can understand why they're angry. I don't want to foster the anger, and I don't agree with some of their opinions. I just understand that there goes I, like you were saying earlier, right? I just understand. And it's not like I'm going around forgiving everybody. I don't know if I necessarily have that.
No, I'm okay with stuff like that. I just mean that sometimes someone, and maybe this is something that's worthy of further examination, because it is a particular behavior that I'll see, like something in particular where you just get a flash of something and you go, whoa. And what Stella said about William Whitecloud, I think it was like irritation towards people. He snapped at them. And maybe that's just a really sensitive thing for me. It's like, if I would never forgive, I have if any of my friends, even really close friends, like snapped at me, like viciously, even over something harmless, that'd be it for me.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never done that with a friend. Have you?
I did once in college, and I regret it to this day. And if I could find her, I tried to apologize to her, and if I could find her now, I would still send her a letter and apologize. And it was over the dumbest thing. I had this board in my college dorm room, and she wrote on it in permanent marker. It was the dumbest thing, and I went off on her, and she didn't deserve it, and she still doesn't deserve it. And I actually would really just.
Well, if you're watching.
Yes. Amy Abbott, who went to Michigan State from 1985 to 1989 and knew me in Landon Hall and wrote over my Sinead O'Connor album cover that was on my wall and I went off on you. I'm so sorry. I give you almost every day.
Well, maybe this is something we should look at in a longer thing. Yeah. We've sort of come away from gossip, but that is also something worth thinking, because I do realize that I'm enormously unforgiving in some areas. I think I'm very forgiving in other areas, but it's like there's just some things that it'll flick a switch for me, and after that I'm like, nope, sorry, not for me. You're not my type, you. But the thing about gossip, I think, in summary, it has upset me. I want to read somewhere that it's not true, and then I think, well, why does it matter? The irony of this is, and maybe there is a lesson here for it, is my sister-in-law, who introduced me to RuPaul, has just sent me RuPaul's book, which is all about it's not about spirituality, but it's all sort of phrases and beautiful pictures and just stunning. And I'm like, sort of, like snippets of spirituality, phrases of her own phrases, but I mean, they're not dressed up in any way that isn't true to how she is. Why is my phone going off? Oh, it's the animal communication. I'm not going to go to that. Are you going to that?
I don't even do. Are we having it? I thought Tracy said she might cancel it.
Oh, okay. Let's see. What did I get distracted from?
Got the book.
Yes, but then it all comes down to, like, we are all, and me included, less so now, but we are also driven by the truth, and yet we're all learning that the truth does not exist, because the truth is purely subjective. From every single perspective in the world, there is another truth, and I think it's really sad, and I guess that's just it. It actually doesn't matter whether it's true or not, because it doesn't affect me. It didn't happen to me, and it's a shame that that's taken a shine off a little bit for me. I think it will come back. I think I'll survive this. But it does make you wonder, just so many casual comments that people make about things that all have that little impact. And I guess this does go back to making fun of people, doesn't it? That actually that's not okay, because you're just making a little dent in things as you go, and you think it's all harmless, and actually it's not, because it's like when you make fun of people, however good humored it is, not it's not even necessarily what you say and what you mean, but how it is then perceived by the third party. You don't know how much damage you might be doing.
Right. Which the 4 agreements, I think one of them is your words have integrity, or there's something about integrity in the word.
Oh, no, that's an interesting one because it's the word, and I had to look it up because it's used in its real sense, and we don't generally use it like that. It's not integrity. It's the I'll have to look that up.
Yeah.
There's something, but that word that he uses, it's not. It is in. It's not how it's used in common day parlance now. But he is actually using it correctly. It's just we use it differently.
Okay. Yeah. I just heard a podcast on that book. The Soul Sisters talk about it.
I'm gonna have to. That was it. 4 agreements. Oh, this is good television, isn't it? What are the 4 agreements? Be impeccable with your word. That's it. The word impeccable. So we sort of use impeccable. Well, maybe that's not what I'm thinking of. No, it is be impeccable. It's not. It's not. It's actually in the book. What it is it's talking about sin.
In the book?
Yeah. That we use the word sin.
Oh.
And it's not. And actually, what sin means is to sin against yourself. So like we've made this whole thing about sin, about an act that we do to other people, when actually the root of it is all about basically being hard on ourselves.
Yeah.
Oh, so many subjects there. Sorry.
Yeah. And not forgiving ourselves. Of Course in Miracles talks about this a lot.
It's nothing to do with other people's actions at all.
No, all this shit we've been reading for a year talks about that it's all with us. Because we're the divine having a human experience. So here we go. Yeah.
So in summary, I'd just like to say I still think what RuPaul's absolutely wonderful, and I refuse to believe a word of it.
Well, I would give yourself that. I would forgive yourself and forgive both of them. They had a human moment. Who knows? You don't even know what it was. And just let it go. Like I still like Ellen. If Ellen were to do something completely different, I still support her. She's done more good in this world than whatever. And I not like I'm condoning the toxic workplace. I'm not. I'm just.
If you ever behaved in a way that is completely and utterly out of character for you?
Me? Yeah.
That you're,
Oh yeah.
And you've said and done things that you absolutely did not mean.
Yeah. Right, you have to think about that. No, I mean, I know I have.
I've said things I've regretted, but I've never said things I didn't mean.
Oh,
that's
like
different.
if I'm in a heated argument, like with Brad or my ex-husband or with something, I said things I didn't mean. Like if I would say I hate you, like I don't.
Okay.
I don't ever.
Let's take arguments out of the. Even then.
Yeah. But like in normal, I mean, I would go back to times I gossiped about people, spread lies about people, just because it was fun and it was the thing to do, which was silly when I was a kid.
I don't think I've done that.
No,
I've done some horrible things, but I don't think I've done that.
I'm not killed anything except for bugs and stuff, which I'm learning.
Large ants.
Well, I was,
So you just set him up.
I asked to take him out. I asked to take earwigs out the other day. I tried, actually, there was a spider in the bathtub and I said, please and I tried really hard to put him on a tissue and get him outside. Like, please let me move you, because if I don't, I'm going to turn the water on. You're going to drown. This is not going to be like, not. And he was like, nope, I'm going to stay right here. And I'm like, okay. I couldn't get him outside. He passed away. It gave him a quick death though. Not pleased. Anyway, yes, I'm sure I've done stuff that was out of character.
Yeah, I can think back to the years that I've been drinking, and I've been loud and I've been boisterous and I may have said too much or been indiscreet, but I don't think I've ever lied. And I don't think I've ever said things that I don't mean. They may have been ill-advised, and they may have been indiscreet, and they may have been less than sensitive, but I don't believe I've ever made anything up or told a lie, or I just don't. I don't know if I'm really I don't know, maybe I'm talking shit, and I'm so and I don't even know that I'm doing it, but I just don't think I have.
It's possible you might not have had to do that in this lifetime. I must have.
I just find it, it's, to me, lying used to be something that would have been abhorrent. It's not anymore, because I realize, again, it doesn't matter.
No.
We hold this as so important. And when I was younger, like literally until I started this work, literally until I started this work, I could not have imagined a situation. I just, to me, telling the truth was the be all and end all of a good person. And now I know it's not, and I'm okay with it, and it doesn't matter, and I understand why people do it. But I would have been one of these people that must have the truth. We must have the truth. It's important that we have the truth, and everything for the truth. Why? It's like, when we watch a lot of crime drama, which probably isn't great for the vibration, but there's all this for justice, and you're like, it's not going to make any difference, love. It's not going to help you. You may be frustrated and angry that they haven't found the right person. When you find the right person, you're still going to be hurt. You're still going to be upset. It's not, them going to prison for 100 years is not going to make you feel better.
Yeah.
Why are we so obsessed with it?
I don't know. It's interesting, as we were talking about, as I was bringing up the Ellen example, the other example is Bill Cosby, who they just released from prison after the Pennsylvania Supreme Court overturned his conviction for.
Was it pedophilia?
No, I shouldn't say just sexual assault.
Just good old sexual abuse.
Adult sexual, but yeah, but he was, he's been accused and convicted of sexual assault, and they overturned his conviction. I don't remember why. Oh, I know why, because he supposedly gave evidence and then was promised they wouldn't go after him, and so they still went after him, and so the judge said, well, you promised.
Technicality.
Yeah, technicality. He still did, but yeah, I don't know, that one's hard too.
And I had this conversation with my cleaner at the weekend. She was saying how there's a paedophile who's gone to prison in her, and that he's in their street, and they can't, you're talking about not having houses that you don't like, looking messy, they can't do anything about his house because it's empty, and he's not allowed to come back there because it's near a school, so they have no idea what will happen even when he comes out of prison. But because it's neglected, she complained to the council, they can't do anything because it's private property. But and it got me thinking about, like, paedophiles. It's like, I just don't know how I feel about them, because you can't help how you feel, your sexual, I'm sure we all have sexual fantasies of one sort or another that we perhaps wouldn't share with other people. Like, you can't really judge people on that. What makes the difference then? But then I struggle with that. Well, you could sort of keep that to yourself and just, don't involve anyone else in it.
Right.
Don't involve, and trying to reconcile that against, well, let's put myself in a similar situation. See, and I can't, because there's nothing that comes, well, I suppose it is. It's like if I wanted to do something to animals that I got a kick out of, but it hurt the animal, it's the same thing. And I would just be like, but then I don't have that sort of perversion. So how can I stand in judgment of that behavior? I really struggle with stuff like that.
Right.
I mean, don't get me wrong, if I had a 5-year-old child, I'd still put a bullet through his head, but I struggle with the theory around, if somebody has those urges, but then I suppose that's the same as justifying the urge to kill, isn't it? It's exactly the same. I don't know. You're causing suffering.
I don't know if we can ever, how do I say this? So I don't think, from what I understand, the divine did not create that. Like, something as part of the human experience create all that. Because we've talked in book club about the Holocaust. too, a little bit.
I haven't. Where was I?
Oh, I think it's come up just a couple times
Okay.
in brief, not in passing, but a little bit in passing. But it's just like when we talk about higher consciousness, then how do you talk about the Holocaust? The Holocaust was a human construct. It was created by humans. It wasn't necessarily that God didn't go, now I will do this, and therefore it wasn't that. It was, and so and then you have to, I mean, that one's tough. Any of these are tough. The sexual assault, the pedophilia, animal abuse, all that stuff. Because there's an element of forgiveness. And I guess I can't really talk about it yet. I don't know, but if you look at the divine would never knowingly cause human suffering. Human suffering is caused by humans creating things that they think they need to have or they should be doing or not doing, and that was never the intent. However, as they happen, humanity learns from it, hopefully, not to do that again and to forgive. But the forgiveness part to me is where I see is not really what's happening. We haven't learned that forgiveness part. When I look at, for example, the prison system in the United States, which is very much trying to become, if it isn't completely already, very much right now becoming privatized. So it's about money. It's not about taking a human being who has made a mistake, I'll say, and needs help to overcome and forgive himself and be forgiven. We don't do that. We put him in a cage somewhere. We lock him up. It's not a good environment. There is no rehabilitation. There is no help. It's just, but we made money off of him, so somebody's getting rich. So it's that in and of itself is like this whole.
How are you making money?
How do they make money from the government? I believe, I don't know. That's a good question.
I think though that I mean, I see prison more as basically just removing them from society. It's really to keep society safe as opposed to rehabilitating a prisoner.
And here it doesn't necessarily do so because they go back out. Here it doesn't necessarily do so because
no, absolutely, I agree. But I don't know that it's the intent is a money making machine. That might be the result, but that's not the intent. The intent is to keep them away from other people.
Oh, see, and I think here in the States, it has flipped to become a money-making machine because it's controlled by certain companies and certain humans.
Yes, but people don't get sent to prison in order to make money for these companies.
Or their argument could be made that they are. Yeah.
There was that was very interesting. There was someone I read, might have been a Buddhist thing, where when someone transgressed in the tribe, the whole tribe would come together and tell that person how much they loved them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we read that, and that was in one of our books.
Okay.
Was it Buddhist or was it may even been Native American too, but they're all, everything's so tied in that regard too. But yeah.
I'm not big on religion at all, but actually when I was at the Buddhist retreat, not last time but the time before, which was now 3-4 years ago, they do a wee ceremony where someone who she thought of herself as Buddhist but didn't have a local church because she lived off one of the islands and something. So because there was no local presence, they were sort of ordaining her. That's not the right word, is it? But bringing her into where the retreat Buddhist, because that was the closest people that she knew outside of her own society, which was she lived in a remote island. And part of the ceremony was that we would all say something nice about something that we loved about her. And I'll be honest, she wasn't someone I was that fussed on. I found her a little trifle annoying, but actually I found the ceremony so touching, and actually her reaction to us saying things, I kept mine very neutral because I wasn't going to lie. I made a completely honest remark about her laughing about something. It was something that was true. I would never lie and something like that. But I mean, but it actually made me feel so much love towards her. And after that, I felt so much closer to her. It was just a beautiful experience, because we don't do that. I mean, we do in our little group, but even then, not, just having people say, I think I'd said something like we'd been doing something in the kitchen, she'd done something that made me laugh, we'd had a little giggle together, and just that it was charming. It was just something really harmless. And everyone else had said these things about her. And I saw her in their eyes. It's like every person who said something, you were adding to this picture of this person. You were like, oh my God, this person's amazing.
Yeah.
We love this person. So powerful.
Yeah.
And there we have it. Gossip and truth and a little bit of RuPaul. Please, comments, very welcome. Comment on the YouTube channel. You can subscribe to our channel. You can follow us on Facebook. We have a Facebook page as well, and Instagram as well, where we welcome your comments and anything else you want to tell us. But most of all, thanks for watching.